Hey, my name is Celia, and this is going to be a really long video, so buckle up, people. I'm just kidding. No, it is going to be a really long video, and this is a video that I already made before, but I decided to put it private because when I went back and I looked at it, I was so embarrassed about it. I was just saying a lot of not looking directly at the camera, which I do when I'm nervous, and I was kind of nervous because it's something that I never really talk about, not even with my family or even my parents. Sometimes I kind of try to bring it up and make comments, but they don't really say anything. And so I like legit don't have anyone to talk about, which leads me to what the reason why I started this channel, because I like looking at other people, or like watching, reading other people who have disabilities and just live a normal life. It's just like no, like just a normal life. So that's why I wanted to expose myself and just create this channel and kind of share my story first before than anything. Um, and yeah, so I'm gonna link the video on the description, but I might not say some things that I said over there, and I'm gonna say some things here that I didn't say in the other video. So here we go. I was born in 1991, and my parents don't have any. They don't have the disease that I have, which is called Charcot-Marie-Tooth, or anything similar to it. I'm not like an expert of what it is, and to be quite honest, I wouldn't really be able to like explain it. And maybe if I tried, I'm not really actually sure if I'm correct, but my understanding is that it's an issue with the nerves, and the nerves send signals to the muscles, so that's why the muscles kind of like waste away. Um, but what I can assure is that it's a progressive disease, and it affects your legs, or for some people, your arms, hands too, which is my situation. And I was born, I was born like normal. You could say that. At least to the eye, just seeing me, I was okay. And I started walking when I was like, my mom says it was like I was the one who started walking the earliest, when I was like a year and a month. And I started having issues with walking when I was like 3 years old. I started to fall a lot and trip, and it just seemed like I wasn't like strong enough, you know. Um, One of the reasons that they thought that probably was wrong with me was when I was 2 years old. We went to Mexico, and they say that there was like a really big, like kind of like metal door, that fell on top of me, and they thought that maybe something with that had to do with me having issues with walking. But they surely took me to see a doctor, and they seemed like nothing was wrong. Later, maybe it was, I don't know if it was a few months, a couple years, but it seemed like at the age of 5 they took me to Shriners Hospital. During this time I was living in Salem, and Shriners is in Portland, so they would take me like every few months, um, to Portland. And again, they didn't know what really was wrong with me. They did like several tests, like if I had like, if it was like with my spine, or like what was wrong with me. But it just everything came out like I was okay. So around the year, let me see, because I'm not really familiar with the years. So it seemed like in 97 they were thinking that I probably had a disease called, which I don't really know how to pronounce, um, Friedreich ataxia. And like I think a year later, or a few months later, they were like, actually, we don't think it's that. Actually, we suspect it might be CMT. So then they did tests, which, you know, it later came out that I actually did have CMT. During all this time, the doctors didn't know what the fuck was wrong with me. And were not able to give me like an 100%, you know, we are 100% sure you have this. My parents at the time were thinking that probably, I think they still think that, well, not in my situation, but like they kind of believe in black magic, you know, they're Mexicans, so brujeria, you know, so they thought that probably something did something to me or tried to do to one of them, but you know, I got it. Which at some point I believe, you know, yeah, it might be some black magic out there, but you know, you know, right now I don't believe that. I'm not religious. I don't. I obviously don't believe in that. So, but yeah, let's move on. So, in '99 and in '98, I had 2 surgeries. One of the surgeries during those years, they were still not 100% that I had CMT. Because I would walk on the side of my foot, like on this side. So that's why one of the surgeries was to help me walk like a little bit straighter, which they were always upfront telling me that, you know, this surgery is just gonna help you with like your balance. It's not gonna cure you. You know, they were always upfront about that. I'm just like, okay. And the other one was, they took out some tendons. I think that's what's called, from each foot. Which, why did they do that? I'm not really sure. I wouldn't even be able to say I'm not sure, because I don't even know, to be honest. And if you ask my parents what's the name of her disease, they probably wouldn't even know. So my parents are like, so like, sometimes it feels like they're not like, they're like, they still, I feel like in some way they still don't acknowledge that I have a disease, or you know, but yeah, which might explain why I had such a hard time acknowledging mine. You know, me. But yeah, so later, they told me that I actually had CMT, which I have CMT 2A. And I didn't know that until recently. I had to look it up. I was like, you know, but I think that's bad. Yeah. If you hear noises, it's my dog. He is a little weird. So, again, I was kind of like in denial, you know, when they were actually told me this is CMT and it's a progressive disease, and you eventually, you're going to use a cane when you're going to be in your 20s, and later on probably you're going to use a wheelchair. And it just felt so weird when they were telling me, because it felt like it's not true, you know. It felt like if I was watching a movie and like they were telling someone else, and it's like, damn, that sucks, but you know, like, that's not me, you know. But you know, I just remember just kind of like being like that, you know, like, when they were telling me. But then, like, when they started like telling my parents that if I ever wanted to have children, that there would be a 50-50 chance, you know, passing it on, that's when like my mom kind of broke down, and that made me more sad to see her like that, and see like because I didn't want to see my parents while they were like telling us this. I don't know, maybe because I didn't want it to feel sad. I don't know, but because when I actually saw them and I saw my dad kind of like upset about it, that actually made me more sad, like made me want to cry, but I try my hardest not cry. During this time, you know, all these years, I felt okay. The only thing that I probably was getting a little bit issues with, like, during time, was with my hands. I started having like more issues. Later on, when I was like 11, My parents were gonna go to Mexico in August. And I had an appointment in July, which I never attended, which I never went to that appointment. They were gonna make me new braces, so I did never went to that appointment. And then we went to Mexico, and I lived there for almost 4 years, and I had the same braces for those 4 years, and my braces broke. It was awful, which I'm gonna make a video later about it because I don't want to talk about it like here. It's kind of like, anyways, like I said, I didn't feel like I was getting like worse, and you know, I feel like that was more like confirming my thoughts of. I'll stop. Confirming my thoughts of. I don't have this, you know, they're eventually going to tell me that I have something else and might be curable, you know. When I was like a child, like that's all I dreamed about. Like that's all I wished for. Like I just wanted to be normal. And yeah, so I was like huge in like kind of like denial, like I've said a million times. But yeah, I didn't have any issues when I was in Mexico. I actually felt like I even got like I was able to like walk from one side of town to the other side of town with no issue. And sometimes my legs would get wobbly, but that would be it. Other than that, I didn't have other issues. And when I was like more younger, when I was like a little girl, I wasn't able to walk at all without my braces. Like I had to like crawl. I remember like at night, like if I had to go to the restroom, I would crawl to the restroom and then I would get up by the toilet. And because I wasn't able to walk without my braces. But later on, I was able to walk with my braces, so I felt like I was getting better. And it wasn't until, well, actually, I feel like maybe I started having more issues with stairs. The only issues that I started having more in Mexico was with stairs. It wasn't about walking or anything like that. It was with stairs. And in Mexico, you would see you would see a lot like really like big stairs, and those were like the nightmare for me because I was able to do like normal type of stairs, but would struggle. I would struggle a little bit, but I was able to. But those big stairs were like, oh no, oh no. And later, my mom is from this island called Janitzio. It's in Michoacan by Pátzcuaro. Let me tell you, that's like hell for someone like me because that island, the streets are stairs. Like it's just stairs going up. So it was just a nightmare going over there. And then I don't want to bash my mom, but like when we were living over there, it's like my mom kind of like became a bitch, and like she hated helping me like up the stairs, and so it was even more bad. You know, like going over there. That's the only issue like I remember actually having in Mexico. When I came back, that's when I started like slowly like, oh my goodness, I am getting worse. Um, um, you know, when I actually felt like okay, like it was like a little worse. Like when you feel like you have to put a little bit more effort, that's how you're still able to do it like that. But until when I was in junior year, that's when I was like, okay, this is a little bit more hard to walk or to keep my balance, where I would fall a little bit more, and my falls were not much of. My falls started to actually hurt a lot because when I would used to fall, I was able to like quickly get up. Like sometimes people wouldn't even notice that I fell, and like I would be okay, you know, like I was able to deal with the pain of like scraping my knee or something like that. But this other type of like I started having this type of falls where they hurt a lot, and it was just bad. I had one when I was a junior year, and which made my doctors like try to push me more into like trying to use a scooter. Um, this particular scenario, I don't know if it was like before or after the fall, but when no, actually, I think that was before. Yeah, it was before the fall when they were like, I need to use a scooter, and I was like, no, I don't want to. I just feel like I'm not. I would say no, and then it would be like, why? I'd be like, I don't know. I just don't feel like, I didn't feel like I needed to use it. And I remember one of the comments of this lady was like, I think it was a lady, I don't remember. She was like, oh, people are not gonna think you're not cool because you use a scooter or something like that. Something about being cool. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, that's the last thing I'm thinking about. People are gonna find me cool. I know maybe they think that's an issue, but for me, it wasn't. For me, it was more like, I'm not gonna use something that I don't feel like I need to use it, you know, yet. And because I still was able to walk, like, yes, I sometimes fell, but like for the majority of the time, I felt like okay, walking. Um, but yeah, when I had my big fall in my when I was a junior in high school, that's when it tried to push me a little bit more. Um, and now in my senior year was actually like the worst year for walking for me. That's when I started to walk more on, like when I would walk on the hallways, I stopped walking like in the middle of the hallway with people. I started like walking on the sides, touching the wall. I started wearing my backpack like on the over my shoulder. Like I would never wear it on my back anymore. How the fuck did I do that before? I don't know how I did that before, but it was just not an option to do it anymore. And um, during that year, my parents decided to move back to Salem. So um, I started using the city bus, which again, I don't know how I did it. Like, oh my goodness, Celia, how did you do that? I don't know. But I did it. And like I said, I started falling more. Like, I just started having like really, like, struggling with my balance, like really bad. And when I graduated, high school, that's when things got even more worse. Um, yet again, let's go a little bit back. I'm a little grateful that I didn't fall when I went to get my diploma. Like I walked to get my diploma. Um, but like that was like one of my worst. That's how afraid I was of falling. Like every time I walked, I was always afraid of falling. Like I had to be like very cautious of like everything. It started getting like really annoying, and I think that's in Lizzie McGuire where she falls and like she pulls the curtains. Like that was just my worst nightmare. I'm like, oh my god, what if I fall? But hallelujah, I did not fall when I went to get my diploma. But yeah, later when I graduated high school, um, I don't know, but just my dog is so cute. Not me. Um, when I graduated high school, that's when things got like even worse. I think it's because I wouldn't go anywhere. I would just stay at home, and then I started getting depressed because it kind of became a realization that shit, this is for reals, and I am getting worse, and like I am gonna use a wheelchair, and in my mind during that time I was like, I'd rather die than have to sit myself. um it just felt like it was not an option. Like, how am I gonna live my life like this? It's so dramatic, me. And I was even like thinking of ways of killing myself. It just sounds so me saying it out loud right now because I'm not really in that state anymore. But the good thing is, you know, my parents decided to move back to Tualatin, and then I live really close to a friend, so I think that kind of like took me out of my depression. And yeah, so like I said, it became really tedious, like being worried about my balance. And I didn't have an issue with going to the store, um, or going to the mall, as long as I was like kind of like walking with my mom. But then even that became an issue, and like I said, it became tedious. And like I'm the type of person that I just want to go there. I want to go over there, but you know, my disability, I just couldn't. So then let's go a little bit back. Um, when I was like 20, they're like, you need to use, at least take the scooter. If you're not gonna use it, at least take it, because you are gonna need it later. And you're almost 21, and then we're not gonna be able to help you with getting the scooter, and it's gonna be harder for you to get one. Blah blah blah. So, like I had already graduated high school, so by this time I'm like, shit, it is true. So I took the scooter, but I was just in my mind, I'm not gonna use it. So it was just kind of sitting at my house. And later on, I think I was 22. No, I was not 22. I was like 21, because I was still going to Shriners. When I was like, okay, I'm gonna use it, and because I wanted to go to the Rose Festival, something like that. And that's the first time I used it in public. I'm just not gonna think about it much and stuff. And I loved it, because I didn't have to worry about shit. Like I didn't have to worry, oh, I can't walk over there, I can't walk that much, I'm gonna fall. Like all those worries just went away, and I just loved my scooter. And later, I went to California and Vegas, and I fell more in love with my scooter. And I got a job, and then that's where I started, like, after I came back from my vacation, I started going to work, and that's when I started using my scooter on a daily basis. And now it's been like 2 years, I think, and I'm loving my scooter, even though I'm having issues with it, which I'm gonna make another video about that, because it's annoying. But yeah, oh, and I had another surgery when I was 21. That was something about to fuse my ankle, something like that, so it would be straight. But one of my foot, they fucked up one of my foot, because it's not like the other one. And I was able to at least move my foot and make it straight, but now this is like locked that way. Like it's locked like this. It's awful. And like I was already 21, so I wasn't like able to go back. And I recently started like kind of wanting to see another doctor, which it hasn't worked out very well. But yeah, I made another video saying that I feel like I'm getting worse, which I am, and it's a little scary. That's why I started seeing a physical therapist. I just had my first appointment like 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I'm just gonna try to, like, I don't know, just keep myself moving or something, because it's scary. To be honest, it's scary. And it's a little bit more like, it sucks more when everyone around you is like, they don't have to worry about the things that you worry about, I want to cry. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know what else to say, because I just heard people outside, so I'm kind of like, I kind of lost my thoughts. So yeah, I had that surgery, and ever since I stopped, because I didn't want to see another doctor. I'm just like, what's the point? Like, I'm not gonna get better. They're not gonna do anything for me. They were just checking on me. That was all. But obviously now I changed my mind, and I'm trying to like see I'm just waiting for it to be like actual summer so I can see if I can get into this hospital that's like actually it's kind of like associated with Shriners, but it's for adults. So yeah, because I tried getting in there, but I wasn't. They were not accepting new patients, something like that. So I'm just waiting for it to be summer, and yeah, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna be my worst. Maybe I shouldn't think about that. But yeah, that's me talking about my disability. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good night, a good day, whatever. Talk to you guys later.